Hi, I'm Bibo, and today I'm going to teach you how to play Parks, a celebration of America's national parks. Parks is a tabletop game that features art from the 59 Park print series. In this game, players take turns sending their two hikers down the trail to see sights, observe wildlife, and take photos while they visit the varying parks around the country. In this game, players will take on the role of two hikers who are trekking across different trails during 4 seasons of the year. Each trail you will travel represents a different season, and with each one passing, the trail will change and grow longer. Each turn, players will send one of their hikers down the trail, and while they are there, they will land on a site and take its action. When a player reaches the end of the trail, they can spend the tokens they've gained to earn points, and of course, the winner at the end of the game is the player with the most points. Between all of the players sit several stunning park cards, as well as a year, a season, and plenty of gear to aid the travelers along the way. The game begins by constructing the first season trail below the gear and canteens by placing the trailhead on the left-hand side. The first player takes a turn by selecting either one of their two hikers to move down the trail to a new trail site where they will take an action listed on it. In order to land in a space, the player must be able to take the action listed on it. If the player still has their campfire lit, they can choose to go on a space that's already occupied by another hiker, including their own. The available actions a player can take are listed on each card. There are several types of actions that can be taken which will reward the player with resources that can be spent to visit national parks. But first, there is a season card turned face up, and then the weather pattern on that card is placed onto the trail section that the players will be visiting. These resources will be granted to the first player who lands on that section of the trail. There are many different sections of the trail to be discovered. Some of the trail cards will simply give the player additional resources like water, sunshine, mountains, and forests. Other sections of the trail will allow the players to trade in resources for other resources. Bison in this game are a wild resource and can be used as any other needed resource within the game. Other parts of the trail will allow the player to copy where their other hiker is or even any other location within the trail. And finally, we have 2 special parts of the trail. The lodge will allow players to visit or reserve a park, or buy gear in exchange for sunshine. Gear can be purchased on this space or at the end of the round when the players reach the trail end. When visiting a park, the player pays the resource cost listed on the card and then places it in front of them. They now have the number of points listed on the visited parks in front of them. Reserved cards are not yet visited. However, anytime that the player has the resources to pay to visit that park, they may do so by taking the Visit a Park action. The Vista will allow the player to acquire a canteen or snap a photo. Canteens are special cards which will give the players special abilities. They don't have to have them in order to hold their water tokens. However, anytime that they collect water from the trail, a player may choose to place it onto their canteen and then take the actions listed. Some will give them additional resources, and some will allow them to relight their campfire or even trade resources for others. At the end of each trail, these are reset. If instead the player decided to snap a photo, they then take the camera into their possession, which means they'll pay 1 less sunshine the next time they want to snap a photo. Also important to note is all of the gear that can be acquired within the game. These have varying powers, but will typically give you more resources when you gain resources. They'll allow you to relight your campfire, they'll allow you to pay less to visit parks, substitute some resources for others, gain photos, which are worth 1 victory point at the end of the game, or simply gain additional points at the end of the game for the resources you spent visiting parks. The game takes place over 4 seasons, and during each season, all of the players will hike the length of the trail. If at any point only one hiker is left on the trail, they must immediately go to the end of the trail and catch up with the other hikers. After all, nobody wants to be left behind. When they get there, they'll either have the option to take the first hiker token or purchase gear. The sooner you get there, the cheaper the gear is. Any hiker who gets to the end of the trail may relight their fire and/or reserve a park. The light spaces are for hikers to go when they get there, and brown spaces are activated automatically. After 4 seasons have been played, the players count up all of their park cards, their photographs, and their gear bonuses. The player with the most points at the end is the winner. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. Be bold, play games, be you. Happy gaming!